Hi and welcome all to another session of Stroke Support India Warrior Chats. We have Letisha and Lisa Altmann with us, and Letisha will be having a chat with Lisa. Just a quick introduction. Stroke Support India is a patient support group operating out of India with the mission of raising stroke awareness and helping the affected. So as part of that, we do keep on having different needs, including with as well as people who have recovered well from stroke to inspire and encourage others. So in that context, we have been having a series of chats now, starting with Letisha and then others. Letisha has written a book on stroke warriors, which is a compilation of, I think, about 26 short stories of different stroke affected people and how they are managing after that. And Lisa is presently logging in from Cambodia. She is an English teacher, and she suffered a stroke in 2018, which caused her a paralysis on the left side. Lisa?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. So, and as we can see, she has recovered very well. So thank you very much both for making the efforts and joining in. I think every little bit, whatever we can do to help the community, to inspire the community is a step in the right direction. So I will leave it to you. I'll be somewhere in the back and I'll be joining in later. And over to you, Letisha and Lisa. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Hardeep. Firstly, I just need to apologise to everybody in advance that I'm just not feeling well today. So I apologise if my voice is off or if my energy is off, but I can assure you that my intentions are definitely here. And I'm very grateful and honoured to be here. And I'm so super excited to be sharing another Stroke Warrior chat with my beautiful Stroke Warrior sister, Lisa, who is coming in with us from Cambodia. I met Lisa through an online group, and we became really good friends and we started chatting. And we were very fortunate enough to collaborate on this beautiful book, Finding Yourself After Stroke, together, and share some of our post-stroke journeys together. So, Lisa, tell us a little bit about you, who you are, what your life was before your stroke. And thank you for being with us today.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. Thank you for listening. My name's Lisa. I'm from Sydney, Australia, initially, but now I reside in Siem Reap, Cambodia, beautiful part of the world. And in my past life, I was a production manager for 20th Century Fox and Paramount Pictures movie studios. So it was a big job in Sydney. So I used to produce the DVDs and digital for Australia and New Zealand. And then after Paramount, we all got, we had redundancy. So I went traveling, excuse me. I traveled to Southeast Asia for the first time. And I was doing volunteer work in Thailand, Cambodia, and Vietnam. And I just fell in love with this country here. And I just knew I wanted to come back here and teach the kids and give something back to the kids here. So I did that. And I moved here initially, was 2017. And I got a job for an international school. And then 2018, that's when I had the stroke.
So you weren't there long?
Not long, only, when did I think I moved in the July, I think it was. And then started working, and then the February of 18, that's when I had the stroke.
And so for everybody listening, I know your stroke journey, Lisa, but the others don't. There was a bit of a backstory to the lead up to your stroke. So do you want to give the listeners a bit of the background prior to the lead up to your stroke?
Yeah, probably a few months before I had the major stroke, I was sick and I went to the doctors here and they just said I had a virus. So I was on antibiotics for about 3 months and I didn't think anything of it. But now, after I had the stroke, when they did scans and stuff, they saw they had something had happened before. So it looked like I had a mini stroke previously, but I didn't know. So that was about 3 months. And the day I had the actual stroke, it was getting ready for school. I was in the shower and I felt dizzy, felt nauseous, and I collapsed on the floor. And I was on the floor for about 2-3 days until someone found me. So I was unconscious, in and out of consciousness for about those 3 days. And then luckily, my lovely landlord, she knew my routine. She hadn't seen me, so she called my neighbour next door and he managed to jump over my balcony. Luckily, I have coffee in the morning and sit out on the balcony, so it saved my life for him to get in. So he managed to get in and he found me on the floor and then called the ambulance.
Just incredible. So in those 2 to 3 days, do you remember anything while you were there, while you were lying there?
A little bit, not everything. I do remember waking up at one point because the phone was ringing and my phone was in the lounge room. And then I tried to get up, then I realized I couldn't move. So then I tried to pull myself up under the basin, pull on the pipe, and then I collapsed. I think I must have been out again, unconscious again. And then I think at another point I woke up and then I think I tried to make some noise, but there was nothing. I found a piece of plastic on my razors on the floor and I was banging, but I realized it wasn't going to be loud enough, but I was trying and then nothing. So I think I just collapsed and this was in and out until my neighbor came in. I think that's when the next time I knew that someone was there and he woke me up and said, we're getting the ambulance, you'll be okay, blah, blah, blah. So.
And how were you feeling while this was going on?
Funnily, I didn't feel scared. I think I was a bit confused, obviously, and I think I knocked myself out so hard. And I saw some pictures later. I couldn't even recognize myself because I was so black and blue, looked like being bashed. So I was like, what? Who's that? And my landlord said, oh, that's you. I went, oh my God. So I think I was a bit out of it. I didn't feel scared at all. I think I just heard the commotion around me and I knew there were people in the room and I had my landlord, her father, one of my friends and my neighbor, so everyone in there. I think the only thing I was worried about, I had to go to the toilet. I was busting for a wee.
And you were still in your bathroom this whole time?
And I was naked because I was in the shower. So I didn't even think about being embarrassed. I was like, I think I saw my friend and hi. But yeah.
And so tell us, you're in your room now, you've been naked for days, coming in and out of consciousness, somebody's finally found you. Then what happens? How do you get to hospital and how long did it take from then for you to get diagnosed?
Okay, initially they took me to the hospital in Siem Reap. And I do remember a little bit there. I remember them calling my sister in Australia. And I think I said to her, Shell, I'm busting for a wee. And I think she just said, just do it on the bed. I was like, ew, no. So I remember that. And then I do remember someone telling me that you've had a brain injury. We have to take you down to Phnom Penh. So Phnom Penh is the capital city of Cambodia. So that's about 5 hours drive away. So I don't even remember them doing scans. I don't remember. I know they did it, but I don't remember any of that.
And you didn't stay in Phnom Penh, did you?
Yeah, I stayed in Phnom Penh for about 2 months.
Oh, that's right.
I was in ICU. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so in ICU. So when I went to Phnom Penh, then I had a craniectomy. So they had to have a surgery because my brain was so swollen. They had to do that. And then I was in the ICU for a couple of months until they sent me back home.
So tell us about when you got to hospital in Phnom Penh and you've had the tests that have diagnosed you've had a stroke and you're coming to this realization of what has happened to you.
Mm.
What are your thoughts and feelings now at that time?
I think the first thing I probably thought about was, how? I'm not old enough. I think everyone thinks that only old people have strokes. That's all. I didn't know much about stroke in the past, but obviously that's the myth that everyone who's older, they're the only ones that can have a stroke. Didn't realize that young people can have it too. I think that was probably the initial thing. It's like, how? I'm too young for that.
And what do the stroke wards look like in Cambodia?
Amazing. Amazing. The hospital there was incredible. I cannot say enough. Like, it was just better than the Australian hospital, which is sad. They put me in. There's a gym there, so I had physio about 2 hours every day. So they got me walking within about 10 days because I was totally paralyzed. So they got me walking, which is amazing. And I didn't have full aphasia, but probably a little bit. But I started talking a bit better. I actually started talking in Khmer, which is Cambodian, rather than English, because I was practicing with my exercises. I was counting in Khmer instead of English.
Wow.
So that was but my speech wasn't great, but yeah, that's how I started to, because I couldn't speak properly at all, but managed to get that back. So I spent 2 months there.
Yeah. And so then tell us, you can be completely honest about your experience of what your time was in hospital in Cambodia versus your time in hospital in Australia, in Sydney.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, to be honest, I was really not impressed with the Australian hospital. So once I got there, they didn't do anything. They stuck me in a ward, didn't do anything. And because I had started walking by this stage, obviously I was in a wheelchair to get on the plane to come back and everything. But in hospital, they just stuck me in a ward, did nothing, didn't do any exercises. So I took it upon myself. So I was walking up and down the hallways, even though they said I couldn't do it. But I went, no, I don't want to be set back because you don't want to do anything. So I fought them. And some not very nice nurses as well. Had one who would yell at me because I couldn't put my shirt on because I had a subluxed shoulder. So I was in a lot of pain. And she would yell at me for not putting my shirt on properly. So I didn't like that. So that was the main hospital. But then they sent me to a rehab hospital, which was a lot better.
And was that in Sydney as well, the rehab hospital?
Yeah, sort of attached. It's kind of attached to the main one.
Mm-hmm.
So I went there for a couple of months as well, which I loved.
Mm-hmm. How long
Which
were
is
you
funny.
in the rehab hospital for?
About 2 months.
Yep.
Yeah. I think it's funny to say that you loved it because I miss when I had to leave. I was really sad because I had 4 other girls in my ward together, and we all had stroke, but all different symptoms, all different. One was going blind, one was having seizures, one was totally paralyzed, was still in a wheelchair. And we just bonded so well, just have that connection and understanding between each other. And we just laugh and could talk to each other. You know, it's hard. I know you speak to your friends and your family. They don't fully understand what's going on in your head. So it was wonderful. So I love those girls. It was really sad to leave.
Do you think that made a difference for you in your recovery?
Absolutely, 100%. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
So we would have so much fun. We would just laugh and just be silly with each other and just encourage each other. Because in the rehab, they also had a gym. So we had like group therapy gym exercises upstairs every day. So we do that. We push each other to do all the exercises and everything. So it was amazing. And that's when you, sorry.
What ages would the other girls have been that were with you?
About the same age. I think the youngest was 41 in my ward, and then the oldest one was about 50. So they're all similar ages. But then they had other patients in the hospital. I think the youngest I saw, he was 16, so young. That's when I realized so much that all these young people are having stroke as well, which I was really shocked. It's like, how many young people were in there going through the same thing?
And at that time, before you had your stroke, did you think you were the only young person that was having a stroke or had a stroke?
I didn't really think about it, to be honest. I think I was just confused about how, at my age, that it would happen. I think the girls were the same. They were the same as well. They felt the same thing. They were all like, we're all too young. I said, I agree. I don't understand why. Why did this happen? So I think it's just dumb luck.
Bonding experience.
Oh, yeah, it was. It was. They were wonderful. Yes. So the therapy hospital was good. Most of the therapists were pretty good, except for probably one. But most of the time there, I just loved it. Loved the exercises doing in the gym. And they would have like competition. So we had like these sit to stand exercises, you know, how you had to sit down in a chair and stand up, down, up, down. And I was determined, I'm gonna beat that goal. So I just sat there for 2 hours, I think, one day, and I beat the goal. Like,
I'm just thinking, sore legs.
Oh my God, the next day the muscles were terrible. Yeah, the muscles. It was funny because the guy had previously beat the goal. He was still there. So I rolled down to his room. I said, guess what? Guess who beat you? Like it was a very funny, very good competition. And in therapy as well, learning how to put clothes on and putting a bra on, things like that girls have to do, putting the underpants on, all those things, they taught you how to do all that.
And were you still one-handed at this time?
Yes. Yeah. Because my sublux shoulder was in a lot of pain, and they had me, I was in a sling for some time. So I couldn't use that arm at all. And then once I left the rehab, then I took it off. Once I was in outpatient therapy. So yes,
and
I had
how
to use
was your mobility by then?
Oh, my walking, I could run up and down stairs. I was like walking everywhere. So I was very fit when it would come to walking. It was just the arm, just the main thing. Everything else was pretty okay.
So for everybody listening, the time that you arrived at hospital in Phnom Penh, were diagnosed with stroke, you were in ICU until now when you're ready to leave rehab, it's in Sydney, Australia. How much time had passed in your recovery from then to then?
So it was February, and then it was probably 6 weeks there. It's probably a couple of months. A few months, yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah. So it was quite a long time. But I missed like the hospital in Cambodia. I cried when I left them because they were amazing. And they were just hilarious. They're like, "Why are you crying? It's good news." I thought, yeah, but it's happy tears.
Yeah.
So, and even when I left the therapy hospital, I cried then because I had to leave the girls. But I'm still in touch with them today, which is wonderful.
That's the best thing. The best thing to grow those friendships. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. This bonding over like a terrible situation, but you bond together and you're so positive and encouraging each other.
And grow together.
Yes, exactly.
And so you actually had a mission,
Mm,
and that was to get back to Cambodia.
absolutely.
So tell everybody that's listening now, did you get back to Cambodia?
Yes, I did. Absolutely.
Yeah.
That was my goal from day one. A lot of people thought I was being crazy, but actually my therapist and my doctors were so supportive, and all of them, I said, they said, what's your end goal? I said, I want to go back to Cambodia. And okay, you can do it. So I pushed myself, push, until I was fit enough to come back. And in 2019, I came back, and here I am.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. And
Yes.
so tell everybody, are you doing the same job now? What's changed for you? What's different in your life
Yes.
now that you've returned back to
Yes.
Cambodia
I'm
as
still,
Lisa
I'm still
2.0?
yeah, still at the same job, which they were amazing. I'm still at the same school, and because they knew what had happened, obviously, and then some of the girls from school came down to Phnom Penh and visited me when I was in ICU. So they knew what had happened, and we stayed in touch while I was back in Australia. And once I came back here, I called them, said I want to come back, and they were so supportive, and they could see how strong and like I could speak really well, and I could walk, talk, everything. So they knew there was no problem. So you said, yes, we'll take you back. So I've been there ever since. So my
That's
job's probably
amazing.
changed slightly, but just different lessons.
It's amazing. And so you had so much support in Cambodia. The hospital staff are amazing. Your
Yes.
neighbors, your friends, your employers, everything was
Yeah.
just so supportive of you, regardless of what you've been through. Did you
Absolutely.
find the same of the people in Australia? Did you lose friendships and other things in Australia?
Obviously family, they were stuck by me 100%, and some really, really good friends stuck by me. And I did lose a few friends. You realize that they probably weren't true friends anyway. So I lost a couple, which was really upsetting. But I decided it's like it's them, it's not me. So I wanted to focus on myself. It may be a little bit selfish, but I thought, no, I need to focus on my recovery. And if they want to be like that, then they can go away. So I don't speak to them anymore, those people that let me go.
Yeah,
That,
and that's quite a common thing too. I can
I
totally
think
relate
so.
and resonate to that. And as deeply upsetting and emotional as it is, we do learn through our most challenging times who our support people are, and sometimes it's not the people we expect to be.
Absolutely. And there's then other ones that come out of the woodwork they hadn't seen for years, and suddenly they're there like 100%. It's like, really? Wow. You know, but the ones that you thought would stick by your side, nothing.
Mm,
And I still never understand why. I don't know. It
yeah,
says more about them than it does about me. So I
yeah,
don't
we can just
dwell
keep
on it.
asking ourselves that question why all the time and never get any answers.
Yeah. I try not to dwell on it because it's like I need to be positive and be around positive people and stay away from negative people. So I don't need that.
Exactly.
Mm.
Exactly. And you're doing amazing. And it's so good to everybody that's listening that has been in your situation before, that's had a stroke, they've been paralyzed, they're not sure of what their future holds, that if, they're listening and they're hearing, what you've been through, that, you just set yourself goals and you work through it one step at a time, and, you can achieve a better life or a good, worthy life after stroke.
Oh, of course, exactly. I think the goals is important. Like you set yourself even small goals to start with, just little things, and then you embrace those and congratulate yourself and say, "Yay, I did it!" Like even if it's just tying your shoelaces. Remember the first day I was able to tie my shoelaces? It's like, wow, very exciting. Like it sounds really simple to everyone else who never had a stroke, but it's like, wow.
Oh, no.
You think, yeah, so you have to set those small goals. I think one of the goals I had in therapy with my occupational therapist, I said, I want to run, which was really bizarre because I'd never run in my life. I wanted to run. I wanted to be in the colour run. There's a colour run
Yeah.
in Australia. Yeah, so
Yeah.
I wanted to do that. That was one of my goals. And she said, you can do it. So we started practicing in therapy. And then I think it was about 8 months after I said that to her, then I participated in the 5K colour run,
Mm.
which was amazing. So
Well
exciting.
done.
Yeah. I didn't really
And
run
did you
the
get all
whole
of
time.
the chalks all over
Oh,
you?
oh yes.
Yeah.
It was so much fun. Yeah.
Mhm.
So even though I didn't run the whole way, but I just knew I wanted to do it. So,
Mhm.
so yeah, small goals or big goals, whatever they may be, I think it's important for anyone who's going through that, and celebrate them all, even if
Yeah.
if you think they're not good, not that if they're small. Yeah.
Yeah. So tell us, you've been in a hospital setting in Asia, in an Asian hospital, and you've been in a Western hospital in Australia. What did you
Yes.
find were the biggest differences in terms of care, treatments, alternative treatments, and you as a holistic human?
Probably, I think, trying to think back now. It's been a while since I was there. Probably the support, because in the Asian hospital, they were very supportive and they were very kind. Whereas I found in the Australian hospital, they had some people, I hate to be mean, but shouldn't be in that job. So they're angry and they make you feel like you're stupid and it's your fault that you're in that situation. So I
That's
never
just
felt that way. Yeah, I never felt that way in Cambodia. So it's very sad.
Mm. And are you involved in any stroke groups, or what have you found to help you in your stroke recovery in terms of social and emotional support?
I'm on quite a few of the stroke groups online on Facebook,
Mm. Yeah.
which I'm not overly active, but I'm always looking through them. And then if there's any questions that is associated with what I went through, I will send something back. But don't have too many groups. There's no actual groups that I go to here physically,
Mm.
but online mainly. In Australia, I went to the brain injury clinic in Port Macquarie, was where I went to see with my mum after the stroke. And that was
Did you live
great.
with your mum when you came back to Australia?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, I had to move back with my mum.
Mhm.
So I went to the brain injury clinic and we'd have groups. So it was all brain injury, not only stroke, but other brain injury, could be car accidents, whatever. And we'd have morning teas and things like that. And then my speech therapist and I, because he was amazing, we set up a walking group because my walking was so strong. I was walking like 10 Ks a day.
Wow, that's
I,
incredible.
so I said to him, we should set up a group because it's so relaxing just to go. And then if other survivors or other brain injury survivors, if they're struggling with their walking, we can go for a walk. And because we live by the beach, so we went for walks along the sand and you can just have a chat, just really relaxed, nothing, no pressure,
Mhm.
just to push themselves a little bit. So we'd have those every 2 weeks. We'd have these walking groups. So which is awesome. And I think they're still doing it today.
Oh, that's incredible.
Yes.
Yeah, I fall over on the sand. I get a bit imbalanced.
It's hard to start with, yeah.
Yeah, I'll be walking along, then all of a sudden, I'm now
Yes,
looking up
yeah.
or down.
But
And
it's good.
so,
It's good for your strength.
oh, yeah, 100%. It's great.
Mm.
Yeah. How many people would show up to these walking groups?
Some would be maybe like half a dozen.
Wow, that's
So,
incredible.
yeah, so not too
Amazing.
many. It's not huge, but yeah, it was lovely
No,
groups of
but to
people.
have that many people that went, you know what, I want to do this in this safe environment with these other people who are not going to judge
Yeah.
me, and this is great.
Yeah. and you like
Yeah.
encourage each other. It's like, let's do it, you can do it. Like, and like not only my therapist, and we had other therapists would come as well
Oh,
with their
great.
patients and stuff like that.
Mhm.
So it was great, wonderful, such a beautiful setting as well along the beach.
Yeah. And for your mum, how do you think she felt um, having you, this beautiful, wonderful, independent woman who's living overseas and then's had a stroke and everything's been changed? She's been evacuated back to Australia. She's in rehab and now is living back at home. How do you think that impacted her?
Oh, must have been really hard because I'd left home obviously when I was young. So I left, moved out of home when I was about 19 or 20. So I've been
Mhm.
away from home for a long time. So having to move back in with my mom was very difficult for both of us, obviously,
Mhm.
because I was very independent, and having the stroke, I lost that. So that was one
Yeah.
of the big things for me. And mum, I'm still her little girl, even though I was 44. But like, she wanted to do things for me. I'd get a little bit frustrated because I wanted to do things by myself because I'm so determined. It's like, I can do it, I can do it. So I'd get a bit frustrated. So I think it
Mhm.
was frustrated for her that she couldn't help me, and I wanted to do it myself. And so, and because mum's not young, she's a bit older as well. So it's hard for her. But she was very supportive, and she used to drive me around to the therapy sessions, to the doctors, and so it was nice. It was nice to spend some time together because I'd been away for so long as well.
And do you have your license back now?
Yes. Yeah, I
Yeah.
got that back probably, when was it? Oh, it's a few years, a couple of years ago now. So my therapist, they pushed me to do, that was one of my goals as well, was to drive again. Because they never took it away from me. They just wanted me to put the stipulation, make sure that I was able to drive. So
Mhm.
I have my license, but has the stipulation I have to have the automatic car only, and
Mhm.
the knob. I can only use the knob.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's only those two stipulations on it on my license. So, but I don't use it because I don't have a car here. I walk everywhere here.
Yeah. Yeah. It's been my stroke was 10 years ago and I haven't driven. I
Yeah.
still am not allowed to drive.
Oh, really? Still not allowed?
No, no,
Oh. Do you think you'll get it back?
no, I won't get it back. I'm mostly vision affected.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah, that's
So
probably.
legally don't hold enough vision to drive.
Yeah. I was luckily for me, my vision got better,
Hmm.
funnily, because I used to wear glasses with driving, and then I got my eyes tested. They said, actually, your eyesight is improved since before.
That's amazing because prior to my stroke, I wore glasses. And
Mm.
since I've had my stroke, I don't wear glasses, but I have 50% of my vision.
So bizarre. It's so
Mm,
strange. I
I
don't get it.
know.
I thought maybe it's because we relax. Our eyes are relaxed by being in hospital, and not. You're just sleeping a lot. I don't know. Maybe it's relaxing the muscles. I don't know. I don't
Who
know.
knows?
But it was so strange. But yeah, mine was much better than it was before, which was really bizarre. Yes.
So
But yeah, I
your
don't have to.
story is just incredible. Um,
Yeah.
and I'm actually so grateful to have crossed paths with you and become friends and collaborate on a project together and be able to jump on podcasts like this and inspire other people and share our stories. So given everything that you have been through, what would be your top 3 tips that you could give to others? Sorry, that's my children in the background.
Yeah.
What are your top 3 tips to other stroke survivors that are just starting out on their journey? For somebody that has been through something like you've been through, who's had a middle cerebral artery stroke, who was left
Yeah.
with, paralysis and even living in another country when all of this
Yeah.
happened.
I think probably amazing things. Celebrate the small goals to yourself, and be kind to yourself. So a lot of people they think it's your fault, because it's not your fault. It's no one's fault. That's just unlucky events that happen to all of us. So be kind to yourself, be patient. So they're probably the main things I would say to people. Celebrate.
I definitely agree with the be kind to yourself and be patient.
Yeah.
I think sometimes when we're going through some absolutely phenomenal challenges, we can get stuck in our head and get stuck in some negative thinking, and it can be difficult to see our way through it because it can be pretty tough.
Oh,
But
absolutely.
yeah, but with with support, like Lisa, you had your family and everything for support. I didn't, but I reached out to stroke survivors and other young stroke survivors, and that's where I found my support, my strength, and my inspiration.
That's great. So it doesn't matter what, it doesn't have to be family, it could be anyone, as long as you've got someone positive and supportive beside you.
Yeah.
And the negative people, walk away from them. You don't need it. You need that. You don't need that negative vibe around you to go through your recovery. That's what I would say.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So is there anything else that you would like to share, or anything that I've missed out about your story that you would like to share with our listeners?
I think another thing I would say, if you're not comfortable, to anyone, if you're going through therapy, if you're not comfortable with your therapist, step up and say something or walk away from them, because I think it's really important to have a really good therapist and be very comfortable and supportive. Because I had one when I was in therapy hospital. I didn't like her at all. She wasn't supportive. She was only focused on her trip to Europe.
Wow.
And then she wasn't good. And then she wrote a really bad report about me. And then I was like, really? You weren't even there. You're away in Europe for 4 weeks. So how can you say that? So don't think
advocating for yourself is very, very important. You've got to trust yourself, trust how you're feeling, trust your inner guidance. If it doesn't feel right, speak up. If you're still not being heard, speak to somebody else.
Absolutely. That's so important. I was so lucky when I was in outpatient. My speech therapist, my occupational therapist, and my physios were amazing. So I can't thank them enough, because they were so supportive. And I loved going to therapy every week when I went to see them, because we would have a laugh and just have so much fun doing therapy together. It was fun. I think it's important. That is good, because everyone thinks, oh, therapy, like it's the doom. But no, you want to have fun as well while you're doing it. You want to have fun.
Right. That's how you move forward.
Absolutely. Yes. I think that's important. If anyone's going through it, if you don't feel comfortable, say something. Even if you want to tell your friend or tell your doctor, say, I'm not comfortable with that therapist, then try and find someone new.
Exactly. That's great.
Because they're the focus on your therapy. They're going to help you. If they're not good, they're not going to help you, are they? I think that's a big thing I should say.
Yeah. And I love your positive mindset. You're always looking for that next step forward in a positive light, rather than holding on to the things that are going to weigh you down. And by doing so, you can continue to make those steps and reach your goals and continue to shine and live your life. And honestly, I'm just so proud of just seeing everything that you've gone through, everything you've accomplished. You're living your dream. And it's just amazing, the things where you've been and where you are now.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I had a lot of support along the way. I have to thank my family and my really good friends and my students, actually.
Yeah.
Having a teacher teaching English here, because you have to speak slowly and pronounce words, that helped with my speech here as well. So I have to thank my kids, because that helped me a lot. But especially in the beginning, obviously, my face had dropped.
Your smile.
my smile, because I hated it. It was just horrible. I was ripped down there. I hated it. And then I was doing exercises, but then once I came back to teaching, then having to pronounce things properly. And then now my smile, I can smile properly. So I'm happy to smile all the time now. Yes.
It's a
So
beautiful
thank you, my
smile.
kids. Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
That's okay. It's been an absolute honour and a pleasure to speak to you. And thank you for sharing your words of wisdom and your strength and giving us a little bit of insight into the differences between the different hospitals and the different cultures between the different countries. So thank you, Lisa. We appreciate your time.
Thank you so much. And thank you for listening.
Indeed. Thank you, both of you. And I see there are some others. Maybe they can jump in also when they want. Shruti is here. Suryam is here. Yes, indeed. Interesting experience and wonderful experiences there. Also, Lisa, I'm just wondering, you said that you have been living independently since 19 years, 20 years on your own?
I've been since after the stroke.
Okay.
After the stroke, I started independently living since 2019.
Earlier to that, since when you were 19 years old.
Oh, yeah, once I left home, yes. Before that,
you left home and you were living on your own.
Yes. Yes.
Do you think that had something to do with your recovery? That
Maybe.
You know, which was
my strength?
Yes.
Maybe my inner strength. Maybe.
Yes.
It could have been, yeah. I think I was married for a little bit, but then we separated. So then I had to go out on my own again. I think that I dig deep and you found that strength from somewhere. I'm still surprised, to be honest, how strong I became after the stroke, because I thought, I refuse to give up. I refuse to roll over and go, I'm going to die. I thought, no, this is not going to kill me. I don't know, somehow deep inside, I found that strength.
Yes, because
it could be.
As you yourself say, I think the inner strength makes for many things, and to someone who has been fiercely independent as you have been.
Yes.
I can imagine the drive would have been very, very strong to get back to that state of affairs as before.
Yes.
I think if I remember, you said that you were in your apartment for some days when the
Yes.
Would you consider that very, very fortunate occurrence, because in spite of
I think I must have had a guardian angel looking over me, I think. Somehow, obviously, so my father had passed away sometime before that, so I think my dad was looking after me somehow. Some guardian angels there.
Yes.
So very, very lucky. And obviously, I think the support system in Cambodia, they're very family orientated. So even if you're not blood family, like where you live there, because we're same with where I'm living now, it's a different apartment, but the family that own the place, and they're like family, they look after you. So they always check on me and they bring me food. So we're at the apartment where I had the stroke, same thing. She'd come to my room and bring me food, check on me. And that's luckily they do that. And then she knew my routine, because she knew I go to school at certain times and I'd come back by certain times, and she hadn't seen me at all. So that's why she put out the warning bells to everyone else. So thank God for that. So I'm very thankful. I think in Australia, I don't know about where you are, but in Australia, people don't bother with neighbours, especially in apartment buildings. They don't bother on other people. They just look after themselves. So here, they really look after you.
Yeah, indeed, that network of relationships. If it is there, then that counts for a lot. And
absolutely,
in India, I'm in India, and we do have. I mean, we are going through a transition phase right now. We are perhaps shifting more towards the Western, although strong family ties are still there. But yes, many of us are not shifting into apartments, and yes, sometimes we don't even know who's next door. We don't go out of our way
Mm.
interact with one another. And although I believe it is important, and
Oh, yes,
it can enrich oneself in so many ways, and
absolutely. And I also thought that too, when everyone went through COVID, through the pandemic as well, I think I found for myself, I found that important to check on people, even if we couldn't go outside, make sure just checking on people, they're okay, because sorry, I just heard the recording. Yeah, so checking on people, I think it's very important, because especially if they live alone. So I'm very grateful that, yes, I live alone. I love living alone. I'm very independent, but I'm really grateful that people check on me as well. Even just a quick phone call saying, how are you going today?
I'm sure you
Simple.
also reciprocate. You also try to keep up with people, because obviously it doesn't clap with one hand,
Yeah.
So I'm sure that is also the case with you. Also, talking of stroke specifically, you also mentioned that at one time you were with 4 different people. So, were you or were any of them aware of what is stroke before stroke happened to them or to you?
Oh, the other girls in the therapy hospital? I
You
think,
think?
no, I can't remember if they did. All I know that we all thought we were too young. I think that was the main thing we used to talk about. Why? What did it happen to us? Because we're all so young. Because we're all similar ages. But yes, to be honest, I know me, I didn't know much information about stroke before that. All I knew about was thinking old people. That's the only thing you think about. And I think the girls were similar.
I mean, are awareness campaigns happening in Australia about the stroke symptoms? So as to say, that FAST acronym that is used.
Yeah.
That sometime somewhere in a public place or on TV or something like that. Is there some?
I think it's important for education. I think the government definitely need education. I don't know if
Yeah.
Letisha will understand. But when
Yeah.
I came back to Australia, I had to go to Centrelink to get support, financial support. I wasn't disabled enough.
Neither was I.
Yeah.
I wasn't
See?
either.
Disgusting.
And I just want to answer your question there, Hardeep. No, there is not enough awareness in Australia for young stroke. We do have the FAST acronym, but for somebody like myself, I didn't present with FAST. Mine was visual headache. I could still walk, I could still talk. So yeah, there does need to be a lot of, and I think that's why we're very passionate about what we do, about raising awareness, because there needs to be more awareness.
Absolutely. I know, I was the same. I was really frustrated with Centrelink because, yes, I wasn't disabled enough. They maybe put on, what's the, where you had to go looking for work. Like, how? How can I go and get work? Because I'm going to a therapist every week. I had no movement in my arm. The fact that I could talk and walk, I looked normal. So I wasn't. So they wouldn't give me disability.
Yeah.
And rejected by NDIS as well, numerous times as well. Oh my God. See, I think that's disgusting. Whereas they just give people, they got a sore back, they'll give you disability.
Yeah, this could be another conversation.
I know, exactly.
That is a struggle, even on the groups that you have seen on online groups. Getting people to believe that one is, as of now, disabled not to look or not to get a job is a challenge. In India also it's a challenge. Of course, we have a host of other also, but that is a clear, we have 40% or something like that disability. Excuse me. We have about 40% as minimum bar. Who is 40%? People who don't have any idea. They haven't themselves worn those shoes. So they don't know about, for example, the cognitive issues. They don't know about the attention deficit, which are very, very apparent. They need some exploration. And as a result, they are denied disability benefits. Of course, they are not much to begin with because we don't have a social security system in India. We don't get any government funding. We only get some, as a result of getting the disability certificate, we get some, some concessions on travel, etc. But that's about it. Even then, it is a challenge. The other thing,
Yeah.
I
I
remember
think unless you don't see it, people
Sorry?
don't. I don't think unless they can't
Yes,
see an
exactly,
injury,
exactly,
they don't
exactly,
understand it.
exactly.
Like a broken arm, you can see a broken arm or broken
Mm.
leg. They think, okay, you're
You can
injured.
see
But they
someone in a
can't see it.
wheelchair.
They
Yeah.
can't see a brain injury. They can't see
Yeah.
it.
They
I just think,
can't
oh,
see.
yeah.
We have a People with Disabilities Act in India. It does not mention stroke.
Yeah.
Mm.
It does talk of, for example, locomotor disabilities. It does talk speech deficits, but it talk even of, cerebral palsy, for example.
Yeah.
It will not talk of stroke. So those issues, insurance companies, for example, it's very difficult to get insurance cover.
Yeah.
Has had a stroke.
It was the same here, Hardy, for quite some time. Our insurance, our national disability insurance, didn't recognise stroke. Stroke fell under ABI, so acquired brain injury. So for somebody like Lisa or myself that had had a stroke, it was, as you've just heard, it's very difficult for us to get access to physiotherapy, speech therapy, occupational therapy, psychological help. It's very, very difficult.
Yeah.
You also talked about, Lisa, about changing therapists at one time, that you changed your physiotherapist or
therapist. Yeah. So there was one speech therapist in hospital, but then once I left hospital, I went to an outpatient. So the one in hospital, not great, but the one when I went outpatient, he was incredible, which I loved him.
And you have them. How's the availability of these specialties? They are generally speaking available, because in India, availability itself is an issue. You don't find them, So
yeah, we had. It was pretty good. Luckily in Australia, I went through the brain injury clinic. So it's a clinic, it had physiotherapy, occupational therapy, and speech therapy. So I had access to all of them through the clinic. And so that was easy. And I was referred by my GP. So my GP told me about them. So that's where I found my therapist, which were fantastic. So I was very lucky to have a really good one. So unfortunately, earlier, not so good, but yeah. But the one out of the hospital was amazing.
And you think your training in phonics also had something with your recovery?
Yes. Yes. The speech. Yeah, my speech and my face. Because mine was dropped a lot. So yes, my kids having to pronounce things properly. So yes.
No, absolutely. I as you mentioned somewhere, when you can make therapy fun.
Yes.
When you can make it at a level where you are not taking it, as a task to be done, but
absolutely, yeah, you got to have fun while you do it. Yeah.
You don't
want to get up every day going, oh no, I have to go to therapy. But I loved it. I loved going to therapy. It was fun. So I also went to aqua therapy, which was fun. So going in the pool. So that was great. And that was very helpful. So especially for my arm, because that helped with the movement of the arm. So that was fun because I love swimming, and getting in the pool, that helped a lot as well. So that was fun too. So I think.
How's your arm now? Can you, for example, type with your arm? Okay.
Yeah, I got. There you are.
Wonderful.
Do you still have the subluxation?
Yeah, still I've got a gap like that.
Oh.
Yeah. And do you have to have Botox shots or anything?
No, never had it. No, because I went to I went to the therapist and then went to the doctor, and they said, can we put, because they thought it was like that my shoulder was dislocated, and the doctor said, even if we try and put it back in, it's just going to pop out again. So just keep up with the exercise and the strength. then you'll be fine. Because initially, obviously, it was in so much pain. Once I took the sling off, it was a lot better. Then I started doing weights and things. So I have a weight here. I do my little weights at home. So, yeah, but I've got a lot of movement in my arm. It's just the hand. So I can't open my hand. My hand, that's my right. I can do that. But my left, no. I have to pull it open. But that's okay. I don't mind.
Yeah.
One hand. It's only one hand. Yeah. But I try and use the hand as much as I can with everything I do. Try and use it. Then trying to trick my brain to go, well, that's how you do it.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Also,
I do
I remember somewhere you mentioned that people blamed you for the stroke. How did they, what was your fault? What were they telling you?
Oh, just one of the nurses in the hospital in Australia initially, she wouldn't say it was my fault per se, but she would yell at me because I didn't know how to put my a shirt on because I was in so much pain with the shoulder. I was still paralyzed, and she would yell at me, like screaming at me to put the shirt on. I was like, I can't. I'm in so much pain. And she was just so horrible, nasty. I end up reporting her because she was awful. So she just made me feel like it was my fault. She didn't actually say it was my fault, but she made me feel that way.
Yeah,
So
it's so strange that sometimes even in those environments which are supposed to be caring environments,
they shouldn't be nurses.
You come across such people. Of course, it takes all sorts, but at least in those environments which are supposed to be caring, people,
absolutely. I know. And almost like a bother. Like it's annoying that I have to dress someone. So yeah, sorry. Can't do anything about it. I'm not going to sit here naked.
Right. No, I think even I had similar experiences. My mother was bedridden, in the hospital, and nurses would not change the diapers. They would feel hesitant in changing the diapers. And
really?
times, yes, because she would feel, perhaps for whatever reason, she would maybe feel the need for a change 2 hours on the line, and while the nurse would feel that no, it's not needed at this stage. But the mental state of mind is that that she would get more and more perturbed, and sometimes I had to put my foot down. I said, I don't care whether the diaper is used or not.
It's a job.
Yeah, to me, the peace of my mind of my mother is equally important. So, well,
yes, it is.
so yes, as you rightly said, it's a very, very large role is played by the people you encounter in your journey. The people, the network of friends, the therapists.
And you need to you trust them because you can't do it, so you have to trust them. But then when they're like that, they're taking advantage of our trust.
Correct.
I believe.
Because they are the people that you are relying upon.
Absolutely, I agree. Yeah.
We have people in our group who have been told by a doctor, this is it, nothing much can be done. Live with it. On the other hand, if they find someone expert enough to say there is much more that is possible, that itself brings forward a determination. But unfortunately, sometimes you do come across those people also who say, live with it, adjust to it, and all that. Excuse me, just give me a minute. But yeah, it's great. That's wonderful. You had that network, and maybe the good karma to come across them, as they say in India. We got in karma. So it's wonderful. And again, talking about celebrating the little goals, not yourself, and not accepting. To my mind, that is also very important. Not accepting no for an answer from someone.
Yeah, absolutely.
Trying to look at solutions best you can. So
yes, and I think find something that you enjoy as well. I found, because obviously my daily life was going to therapy, going to the doctor. It's a bit boring, monotonous. So I was like, I want to do something. And I've always loved art. So I thought, I'm going to try to paint. So I got on YouTube and looked at tutorials, and I taught myself how to paint. So
Wonderful.
my poor mother has about 30 or so different paintings that I painted because she's got them.
Yeah,
Because
okay.
I was obsessed. I became obsessed with painting because it
We-
became relaxing outside of doctors and things like that.
It is interesting you say that, because we have in our groups also people who have taken to painting, and they're
Yeah.
paintings. They're doing. In fact, I know on Facebook there is a gentleman by the name Steve Mars, who has special pencil sketching. He paints hands and his own face, and
Wow.
they are wonderful paintings. We have uh, on our group a lady who paints Krishna. I don't know if you are aware of. It's a in Indian mythology, he is the creator. So a lot of importance attached to that. So people do change. People do look at someone who's trying to play a keyboard now. I know that. So
Wow. Amazing.
finding something that occupies
Absolutely.
the
Yeah.
mind is very important. And
I
that,
think so too. So you don't want to be always doctors. No, you want to get something that you enjoy your life by doing something fun.
And Lisa, you say something which you haven't said today, which I've heard you say before, that you don't want to be defined by your stroke.
Correct.
absolutely,
Yes.
absolutely.
I don't want everyone looking at me like, whoa, oh, you poor thing, you had a stroke. No, I don't want that. So I don't want to feel like, everyone say, oh, you're so strong, you're so brave. They say all these nice things, which is lovely. But I was like, I just did what I had to do to survive because it was just a really unlucky event that happened. So I was like, I'll never forget it. And I embrace that. I know that I'll be never completely recovered, probably. I don't know, but I'm still hopeful that maybe I will. But I don't want to be like, oh, poor me. I don't want that. I want to think that way. I just want to be able to help people as well. I'm supportive of other survivors as well and be understanding and have empathy towards that.
Absolutely. I think you indeed don't be limited, don't be defined by what happened. It's an event. Life happens.
Yeah, exactly.
Move on. Wonderful. Yeah. Well, thank you very much, both of you, for
Thank you.
the time. It was wonderful chatting up. Lisa, I'm just curious. Do you think, just as an aside, it struck me, do you think your training in phonics can help the aphasia affected? Have you ever tried to, attempt that?
To go into that field? I've thought about it. To do into speech therapy or something? I've thought about doing that.
Yeah.
I've thought about that actually, but then just the cost of the degrees. That's the problem.
Okay.
Yeah. But I have
Because-
thought about that. Yeah, I have.
Because at least the basics, you know how to form shapes with
Yes.
your mouth and with your tongue, which
Yes.
is, I think, big part of that.
Yes.
I don't know, maybe we'll call you what we have aphasia practice sessions going on. They are
Yeah.
volunteer driven. Maybe
Yes.
we'll go to them, to demonstrate a few times.
Yes.
Too.
No, I think it's funny because I think my training was stuck in my head when I was going through recovery in hospital. I would just stand in front of the mirror, and if other survivors out there having problems with their speech or pronouncing things, I just look at the mirror. It looks a bit silly at first. I'll just say the alphabet. I'll be like, and pull on the side of my mouth, A, B, C, D, right through the alphabet. So I do that every day. So it looked a bit silly, but it worked for me. And another little tip I found, if I couldn't pronounce something, I would note it down or put it in my phone, and again in front of the mirror, and pronounce it in front of the mirror over and over and over to get it to get it right.
Right.
So yeah,
Yes.
so that's yes. It's very
that is-
repetitive and boring, but it works.
yeah, anything that works,
Absolutely, I agree. Yes.
that is there. Fine. Thank you very much, both of you. It was wonderful chatting up, and
Thank you.
all the luck, all the good fortune ahead. Hopefully, we'll meet up again if you are ever in India. Who knows?
Right.
Where to
Yeah, when we travel.
Yeah. Thank you very
Thank
much,
you for
all.
having us. Thank you for the chat.
care.
Thank you for having us.
Bye. Bye.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Namaste.
Bye-bye.
Bye.